This is the Project Management Podcast. We bring project management topics to beginners and experts. Find us on the web at www.thepmpodcast.com or send your emails to pmpodcast@gmail.com.
Hello and welcome to episode number 81. I am Cornelius Fichtner. This is the Project Management Podcast for the 17th of October 2007. Nice to have you with us. When you ask 10 project management office managers about the functions that their PMO offers internally, then you will very likely receive 10 answers. That is nothing unusual or unexpected, because a PMO has to be built to fit the requirements of each company. The PMO does what the company needs it to do. Some PMOs are small, some are large. Some offer limited product support, some are all-encompassing. But now ask, what is truly the primary function of a PMO? In his book, The Complete Project Management Office Handbook, the second edition, Gerard Hill of the Hill Consulting Group proposes that the PMO is really a business solution. So in our interview with Gerard, we not only discuss the PMO model from his book, which consists of the 5 PMO capabilities and 20 PMO functions, but we also look at how to set the focus of your PMO so that it truly becomes a business solution. There will be no helpful resources today. Instead, before the interview with Gerard, I just have a few announcements to make. First of all, the forest fires near us here are over, and my wife and I, we are in the process of getting our lives back on track again. For instance, when we moved back into our house, it didn't really look at all like there had been a forest fire in the area at all. Everything looked pretty much the same. But when you took a Kleenex and you wiped it on the wall, that Kleenex would turn grey. There was just the lightest cover of ash dust all over the place. So we had a professional after-disaster cleaning crew come in to remove all that ash. And also, things that never seemed important before the fire now suddenly seem much more important. For instance, redecorating the house and making it more homey has suddenly jumped to the top of our list. In regards to the Project Management Podcast, it's my intention to re-establish a regular release schedule now after the fires. My goal is to give you at least one episode of the podcast every 2 weeks. That way, I can both get my life back in order as well as stay in touch with you through the podcast. And if you listened carefully until now, you may have noticed that the sound quality is still a bit wrong and not as good as it was before the fires. And of course, if you listened to last week's special episode on the forest fires, you know that during the fires, my car window was smashed in and all the recording equipment was stolen. So today, I'm using my headset microphone to record this introduction. Having all the equipment stolen means that I now have the opportunity to upgrade the equipment. Better microphones, better cables, and a more professional digital recorder are on my shopping list. And this is then the moment when I have to say thank you to several listeners who have gone ahead and sent money to us. I am amazed and grateful that you, my dear listeners, would be so kind and want to help to pay the repurchase of our recording equipment. So, my deepest thanks go to Bridges Incorporated from Southfield in the USA, G. Rogers from GRR Systems Incorporated in St. John's, Canada, Patrick Richard from Laval in Canada, and most of all to Bruce Nichols from Upminster in the United Kingdom. Bruce has in fact sent the largest donation that the podcast has ever received. Thank you, everyone. And now, let's head right into our main topic, the discussion about the PMO as a business solution with Gerard Hill. Gerard Hill is the principal of the Hill Consulting Group. He has more than 25 years' experience in project management practice, design and implementation, information systems integration, and business process engineering. He is a project and business management professional who brings many years of Fortune 500 experience and personal insight to consulting engagements. He has worked across industries to include banking, finance, construction, and engineering, pharmaceuticals, insurance, manufacturing, and software and systems development. His background includes work in commercial and government venues. He has led or contributed to the development of project management methodologies currently deployed by organizations around the world. He has particular expertise in designing and developing project management office solutions. And he is a facilitator and mentor for project managers, project team members, and project executives. He holds a master's certificate in project management from the George Washington University, and he is a certified project management professional. So, enjoy the interview with Gerard Hill.
The Project Management Podcasts feature interview.
Today with Gerard Hill, author and consultant. Hello, Gerard, and thank you very much for coming back on the program.
Well, hi, Cornelius. It's a pleasure to be back with you.
Well, it's wonderful to have you back. The topic of our interview today is the PMO model, and we want to talk about the PMO as a business solution. And of course, the basis for discussion is your book, The Complete Project Management Office Handbook, 2nd edition. And to start off, tell us a little bit more about this book.
Okay, well, Cornelius, the book provides quite comprehensive coverage of the responsibilities of a PMO that PMO could have across a variety of industries. It's generally of interest across a wide range of readers from various technical and professional disciplines. The original publication actually did quite well, which is why Auerbach Publications, the publisher, asked me to do the 2nd edition. Now, that actually took almost a year to complete, so there's a tremendous amount of fresh thought put into it, along with considerable expansion of several key interest areas. We went from about 625 pages to 752 pages, so you can see there's been a big difference.
Yeah, it is quite a volume. It's quite thick, it's hardcover, it's heavy. And I have to admit, I haven't read it yet. And that's actually the question that I want to ask you. Do you see the book as something that PMO managers would read cover to cover? Or is it more a book that you open up as a reference, say, if you want to improve a certain area in your PMO?
I think only the most extreme project management office managers would read it cover to cover. Extreme PMOism, if you will. No, actually, it is intended to be a reference. And not just PMO managers, but for project managers as well. The idea is that there are points of reference in there, as we'll be talking about presumably in the next few minutes. And they can actually go right to their topic of interest and find out a little bit more about structuring, creating, designing that PMO function.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, let's get into the PMO model. And if you look around the world, a PMO means different things to different people, right? Some are small, some are large, some have complete governance, some have just an oversight of the PMO, of the project management methodology. Do you, by any chance now in your book, present some kind of a single unified PMO model that goes across industries and different types of readers? How do you approach it?
It does go across industries and professional disciplines, but it's not exactly one single model. Basically, readers can be selective in what they take away from the PMO features that are presented. They can then apply that PMO development guidance to establish a PMO that fits best within their organization, whether that be local, regional, or even global operations.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Do you give them any help with that, or do they just have to go through and pick the things that they need themselves, or how would they go about that?
First of all, the book introduces a PMO competency continuum, and that shows how different types of PMOs can be designed to meet the specific needs of different organizations. Fundamentally, readers can examine the continuum to determine what level of PMO operations they want to fulfill their needs within their organization. And maybe I can just mention those real quickly. There are 5 stages of PMO development according to this continuum. They go from project office to basic PMO to standard PMO to advanced PMO, and then finally to the Center of Excellence. Now, that's nomenclature and terminology that I used. They can be named in whatever way an organization wants to have their naming convention used.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Now, I might mention also a couple comments about the characteristics of each stage.
Yes, please.
The Stage 1 project office is an area in which there's usually one project manager and one project. And the purpose for that is to achieve project oversight, keeping in mind that each successive level of PMO development stage relies on the accomplishment of the lower level PMO capability. So it's arguable whether a project office is actually a PMO, but since all higher level PMOs have to have that capability, I presented this at the low end of the continuum.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, this is just where projects are managed and deliverables are achieved in terms of cost, schedule, and resource objectives. The second stage, the basic PMO, this is called the process control stage. And this is where a PMO starts taking form. It may actually be just a project, or a program manager, but if it evolves further into the business, it becomes a PMO. And in this case, the Stage 2 basic PMO is responsible for providing a standard and repeatable project management process or methodology. There are usually more than one project involved in this, and therefore oversight of the PMO is extended to those projects. The third stage, called the standard PMO, is the process support stage. Now, at this process support stage, the PMO establishes the capability to conduct project management using modern project management practices. It also establishes an infrastructure to kind of support and govern a cohesive project environment. Again, we have multiple projects being examined or overseen, and in that sense, the head of the PMO is usually a PMO director or at least a very senior program manager. Then on to the Stage 4, called the Advanced PMO. The responsibility here is for business integration. This means now we are trying to do business in the project management environment like we do business in the business environment. We're trying to make the two become almost seamless, if you will. And so here where the PMO is applying an integrated and comprehensive project management capability to achieve business objectives as well as project management objectives. And then the final stage, Stage 5, Center of Excellence, has a focus on strategic alignment. Fundamentally, it's responsible for continuous improvement and cross-department collaboration to achieve strategic business goals. It ensures that projects are aligned with the business objectives of the organization. And so that kind of outlines the 5 areas, or 5 stages.
I see that your book also talks about 20 PMO functions. So that means that each of these 5 stages probably covers more and more of those 20 functions, depending on where you are in the life cycle of your individual PMO. Why don't you give us a quick overview of those 20 functions as well?
Well, what we mentioned so far about the competency continuum is all presented in the introduction to the book. That's the introductory chapter. Mm-hmm. The remaining 20 chapters each discusses the one of the PMO functions that I'm going to outline now.
Yes.
First of all, I should mention that there are 5 PMO functional areas, and they are practice management, infrastructure management, resource integration, project support, and business alignment. And within each of those functional areas, there are 4 project management office functions, and I'll quickly go through that for each functional area. First of all, there's the practice management functional area. In practice management, the PMO provides for a common approach and a frame of reference for conducting project management activities within an organization. So the 4 functions, therefore, are project management methodology, project management tools, standards and metrics, and project knowledge management.
Mm-hmm. That seems kind of like the basis of project management in a company. Is that right?
It's fundamentally the activities of project management that are taking place in the project management environment on the ground floor.
Yes, that's what
if you will, it concentrates on developing an effective organizational project management capability at the project level.
Yes.
The next functional area is that of infrastructure management. Infrastructure management, the PMO facilitates establishing a professional project management environment. There's many things that go on in the periphery of the project management environment that the PMO needs to be in touch with, and that the project management environment needs to be in touch with. So therefore, the four functions here are project governance, assessment, organization and structure, and facilities and equipment support. Now, basically, this allows the PMO to examine the current state of project management and plan for the future state. It introduces the policies and oversight mechanisms that are probably going to be needed to achieve organizational competency, and maybe even the organization has maturity goals to achieve. As well, it helps to define the project organizational structure. That is, who reports to whom and when. Do you have a direct reporting capability, or do you have a functional matrix? Things like that are considered by the PMO on behalf of the organization. And then finally, here's a unique function in the facilities and equipment support, and that is the PMO provides for administration of facilities and equipment when needed. This is probably not a prominent thing on the checklist of PMO developers, but it's included here just in case it's needed for business purposes. And so that kind of covers the infrastructure management. Mm-hmm. Then we have resource integration. Now, I want to emphasize up front here that I'm not expecting the PMO to become the resource manager for the organization, but I do want them involved very strongly. I want the PMO involved very strongly, that is, in the acquisition, assignment, and support of resources used in the project management environment. So to that end, we look at the following four functions under resource integration, and they are resource management, training and education, career development, and team development. Now, fundamentally, resource integration manages the competency, availability, and performance of project resources. So I think most organizations would agree that the PMO needs to be involved in that.
Yes, absolutely.
And so fundamentally, it provides for the representation of the organizational interest in the project management environment and in developing professional project managers, which is why we have also there one of the functions is career development. And this is where I firmly believe that you need to have at least one position defined, and that is project manager.
Yeah.
Now, if you can also gain organizational buy-in to having a full or more complete career path, that would be wonderful, and it would show people how they can advance within the project management discipline.
Yeah, what I really like about this whole resource integration is the fact that you really don't focus on, we want to manage our resources and we want to make sure that the right person is on the right job. But 3 out of the 4 functions that you propose are really training, career development, team development. You're really focusing on the people rather than on making sure that they're working in the appropriate projects.
That's right. What you're doing here as the PMO is creating the best opportunity for success in the project management environment.
Yes.
You're looking at this as a business solution, if you will. For example, under team development, the PMO can set up fundamental programs for getting teams to become more cohesive rapidly, particularly in areas where you have a matrix team effort, where people come from different areas. Or even more specifically, when you have virtual teams. One team is working in the U.S., another team is working in Europe, another team is in Asia. And they pass off information and activities across a 24-hour day. How do you manage that? How do you develop those kinds of teams? That's what's addressed here by the PMO.
Okay, so those were the first 3 of your 5 PMO functional areas: practice management, infrastructure management, and now resource integration. What are the other 2?
All right, the next one is technical support. In this PMO function, the PMO provides for project management advice, counsel, and support to project managers and project teams. And I might also add to any other project stakeholders that seek out their attention or their advice. In this area, there again, the 4 PMO functions include mentoring, project planning, project auditing, and project recovery. In this sense, the PMO provides mentoring in the project management environment. Now, I did that for several years, and we found that to be quite beneficial, that the teams that we had mentoring services provided to were also the more successful in achieving their project goals. The teams that didn't have as much mentoring support, they were doing okay because they had good practices, but they didn't get off the block as fast as the other teams, if you will. So mentoring is a distinct advantage, and the PMO can provide that.
One question that I have for you in regards to mentoring is, when I looked at the model first, I thought that's interesting. Mentoring is under the technical support and not under the resource integration. Is there a particular reason for that?
Well, resource integration is managing the resources, their assignments, their acquisition, if you will, their termination. In contrast, technical support is what you're doing to the teams that are there, or doing with the teams to support them.
Okay.
So that's the distinction, I believe. As well, under technical support, the PMO also provides similar planning facilitation. It might even lead a project planning session using mentors to start off the planning and then staying with the team after the planning is completed. As well, this technical support area is also an area in which the PMO can provide for project audits and reviews, either routine or special ones as needed. And of course, if project recovery support is ever needed, the PMO should be there to help support that and conduct that effort. So basically, what the technical, maybe this helps to explain it, Cornelius, and that is this functional area leverages the skill, knowledge, and experience of available project management experts within the organization.
Okay.
And then our final functional area of the PMO is that of business development. And this, in this case, the PMO introduces the organization's business perspective into the project management environment. The 4 functions here include project portfolio management, customer relationship management, vendor relationship management, and business performance management. These 4 areas are very important whenever you're looking at a business solution in the project management environment. First of all, the PMO will likely be the one that oversees project portfolio management, although it's the executives that are actually the ones that manage the portfolio. The PMO helps to facilitate executive involvement in that way. It also is good for the PMO to conduct customer and vendor relationship management. If nothing else, it helps to provide guidance to the project managers who work with their vendors and customers on a daily basis. But they can also do more by monitoring customer satisfaction and monitoring customer performance and things like that. And then finally, under business performance management, this is where the PMO manages project management and PMO contributions to business performance. And there are specific things to do that can be monitored and examined to see how it can be done better. If you will, this is also where you address the concept of multiple level PMOs, where you might have a center of excellence at the top of the organization and then have regional PMOs, satellite PMOs, if you will, in certain marketing areas or geographical regions. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of covers the 5 functional areas and the 20 functions.
Okay, so we have the 5 PMO development stages that we talked about, project office, basic PMO, standard PMO, advanced PMO, and then center of excellence. And then we have your model that we just looked at with the 20 functions. Now, these functions are rather intense. Right? And
yes,
at what level do you propose that the PMO starts actually developing these capabilities? I mean, do you expect of a simple project office to handle all of this, or do you expect the company to manage these outside of the PMO?
that is really not the responsibility of the project office at that level.
Yeah.
However, you can build greater competency within the PMO, or capability may be the better word, to support organizational needs. And that is, if there's a smaller PMO, such as the basic PMO at stage 2, there are different things that PMO would do than an advanced PMO. And my point here is simply to say that one of the features of the book is that each PMO function chapter has a section entitled the postscript for the smaller PMO. And what this does is provide a unique guidance for the newer PMO, or for those who have fewer people, perhaps only 1 or 2 staff members, and maybe they're not even assigned full-time. So fundamentally, even the smaller PMO can apply many of the recommendations for establishing this PMO functionality. But they do that on a smaller scale and without being overwhelmed. There's a way to determine what feature you want, in other words, and pull that out and then implement it. As we mentioned earlier, it's a reference book. So you go in there and you see what has to be done, you see how big you are and what you want to achieve, and then you can apply that practice according to your size.
Okay.
The second point I wanted to make in that regard, if I may, Cornelius, is that I really can't imagine any organization, even a larger one, who would actually implement every facet of all 20 PMO functions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or even 20 functions in total. Fundamentally, the book provides comprehensive coverage so that when organizations have a need for a particular PMO function, they have a resource for guidance and information about how to create that function, that functionality within their PMO. The final chapter of the book does discuss the PMO performance, and as I mentioned a moment ago, this is where you talk about multiple level PMOs. I could possibly see that in a large organization that has global operations, they might have several levels of PMO functionality, a center of excellence again, with satellite PMOs below that. In that case, there might be 20 functions embedded across all of those PMOs, but not necessarily in any one of them.
I think this is a good moment where we should talk about the book giveaway, because you have offered 4 books to the Project Management Podcast. And what we are going to do is we are going to give away one of these books over the coming 4 weeks, one a week.
Well, that sounds great.
Yeah. What we're going to do is we are going to announce an email address at the end of this interview. So everyone is going to have to listen to the end of the interview. And after the interview, I'll make an announcement as to the email address that you can write to. And then every Friday after the interview has been released for the first time, I will go in, I will print out the email addresses of the people who have written in, and we will draw a winner of that, and then you will send them the book, I understand, right?
I would be very glad to do that.
Absolutely. And I understand you also have a contest going on your website so that people who don't win here, they can also go back to the website and to your website and win the book from there. Could you give us quickly the URL of your website?
Sure. That would be hillconsultinggroup.com. And basically, this is for additional books that will be given away before the end of the year. We're hoping to start that as soon as next week, as soon as we can get the capability up on the website to do so. But like you, we should be giving away a book a week. And once you sign up for or make an entry, your entry is good for all remaining books to be given away.
All right. Now let's move on. The title of today's program is the PMO, a business solution. And to move over to that section, let me read a quote from the abstract of the book. In the abstract, it says, "This handbook offers a structured approach for developing a wide range of project and business management solutions through the implementation of project management office functionality." What are your thoughts on this in regards to the business management solutions? How does the PMO actually help support that?
I guess preliminary thoughts are that the PMO is designed and implemented to meet organizational needs for oversight, control, and support in the project management environment. Somebody has to do it. And so the PMO is given that responsibility. Often the PMOs are initially created in association with managing the technical effort, which of course is a very good reason for establishing a PMO. However, business solutions can be achieved when the PMO begins to serve interests that are larger than the technical effort. And the way we see this is that business solutions emerge when the PMO demonstrates capability to fulfill executive and senior management level interest in the organization. I think it's basically that simple.
What exactly do you mean by fulfilling executive and senior management level interests?
There are three prominent areas that stir management's interest. And they are revenue generation, making money,
yeah, absolutely.
Operational efficiency, managing and saving money,
yeah,
and customer satisfaction, providing the opportunities to make more money in the future. Now,
show me the money, I guess.
Yes. That is a little oversimplified, but let's take a look at those three aspects of business.
Okay.
Business interest for senior executives. Revenue generation is first. In many organizations, projects are the means of doing business, and therefore they provide the means of achieving revenue. Executives and senior managers, in turn, have ultimate responsibility for that revenue generation. So therefore, guess what? Executives and senior managers should have an inherent interest in project progress and outcomes. Well, if they have interest in doing that, then they also have interest in influencing that progress and outcomes. The PMO provides a valuable interface between executives and the project management environment so that their interests are managed across all projects. That's the consideration of PMO support of revenue generation.
Right.
Then we have operational efficiency. Here, business advantage is achieved when the organization uses efficient processes and practices to achieve business interests and objectives. And the project management aspect of that becomes business management when it is used as a common solution across the organization, both as a business solution and as a project solution. In other words, the processes are the same. Those for business management are replicated in the project management environment and vice versa. Presumably, the project management processes, as are contained in a methodology usually, might also influence some of the business processes and how they're done. So the idea is to integrate those two eventually. Mm-hmm. And the PMO then becomes a central point of contact and a clearinghouse of sorts to bring all these business entities together using the same process as is used in the project management environment. And then the third area, which is customer satisfaction, that's a business indicator that represents the ability to attract customers, expand the customer base, and even achieve a repeat customer business. So there's strong executive interest in doing that. Every project has a customer, either internal or external, and the PMO has inherent responsibility for direct or indirect achievement of customer satisfaction. So they will contribute to that capability on a day-to-day basis. PMO functions can be used then to guide business efforts in dealing with customers and ensuring customer satisfaction.
I found another quote from the abstract, and I think this shows something very clearly. And it says, the author addresses PMO functionality as a contribution to the fulfillment of business needs and interests within the organization. So to me, this means that you're saying the PMO will support the business in implementing their programs and projects and running them better and more efficiently. And thereby it supports the day-to-day business function. Is that a correct interpretation?
That's absolutely correct. And I want to just clarify that may needs some functionality development within the PMO, and it's not necessarily all PMOs that can do that, but the capability for the PMO to assert that kind of influence in the business environment is certainly there.
Yes. In what specific way would you say that the PMO can actually become part of the business solution?
Just having the PMO inherently means that you have a business solution to the extent that even a basic Stage 2 level PMO usually provides for things like cross-project coordination and collaboration, for process standardization, and ideally then that process standardization integrates with business processes. It provides for aggregation of project performance results. Again, the simple PMO or the basic PMO brings together all the progress reports from projects and compiles them on a project-by-project basis, but also on an entire organizational basis. And that can be distributed then to upper management for further review and consideration. And then it also provides for a central point of contact for project management. That alone identifies it almost as a business unit, if not specifically indicated to be so. I might add a few other thoughts on that. Mm-hmm. That is, when the PMO capability is expanded to address business needs, as happens when you start developing a standard level or an advanced level PMO, or even a center of excellence, it becomes the business point of contact for those processes. And so again, what you see here emerging with the advancement across the project PMO continuum, that is a PMO that becomes more in tune with business. And as it does that, it allows the PMO to deploy effective project management processes that coincidentally also serve business needs and interests. And some specific examples of this.
That would be great.
For example, when a PMO is designed to support technical projects and technical performance, this already has an aspect of the business function, and that is ensuring technical performance is being accomplished as a business function. So the PMO being there already is demonstrating some project or some business performance capability as well. When PMO functions are implemented within a business and with a business purpose in mind, it reduces the replication of processes and provides a single process that is then used in both the business and project management environments. So the PMO can influence some of the business processes, if you will. In particular, we can consider how some of the PMO functionality specifically provides for a business solution. And taking a look at a few examples, the project portfolio management capability. This deals with aligning projects to the strategic objectives of the organization. Here you have the PMO working at the strategic level. That is distinctly a business support function, and the PMO needs to be recognized for its contributions. Then we have planning support. That was another function, and it helps to specify what will be done, when it will be done, the associated costs, and this assists in managing both cash flow, which is the project funding, and any other financial investments that are involved in the project effort. So here you see the PMO becoming a financial manager of sorts, or overseeing of the financial management, and that is distinctly a business function as well, and the PMO needs to be recognized for that kind of contribution. The project knowledge management function allows project stakeholders, pretty much at all levels, but especially executives and senior managers, to access the project knowledge management system, once called the Project Management Information System. We've tried to bring that up to in tune with the times and the emerging considerations of knowledge management. But it allows them to access and examine information on project performance relative to business performance. And if the PMO is involved, they can probably actually do some pre-analysis and translate some project performance into business performance indicators that are generally appreciated by the senior management. And the PMO needs to be recognized for this kind of contribution. Vendor relationship management provides for oversight of contracts associated with projects, but is particularly addressing the monitoring and management of contractual obligations. That is distinctly a business function, making sure that all of our agreements and contracts are being managed properly, and the PMO needs to be recognized when it does that. Organization and structure. Here the PMO is getting involved in helping to identify how people are aligned with each other in the project management environment. Who reports to whom, if you will. Do project managers report to the PMO, or do they report to a functional manager? How do people come together in the project environment? How do they come together on projects? Structuring and organizing the project is a business function then. Whenever you're trying to do an activity that brings all these people from different parts of the organization together for projects. And then one last example would be that of project governance. Here, the PMO provides the means to collect and implement executive and senior management guidance in the project management environment. What this means is that they ensure that senior management, from the executive sponsor on to executive control boards and other senior managers in the organization, are brought to bear and brought to be heard in the project management environment. They seek out their counsel when developing policies about project management. They seek out their counsel whenever developing criteria for project selection and other such things. So all these activities of project governance actually has the PMO representing senior management in the project management environment, and that is distinctly a business function as well.
No, absolutely, because without alignment of projects to business goals, your project is really worthless because you're not doing anything to support your business.
Right.
To finish this discussion and close out the interview, let's take a look at the crystal ball. I mean, we've heard great examples of how a project can be a PMO can be a business solution here. And you've told us about your 20 processes that you recommend. But where do you see the current trends in PMOs? What's happening currently out in the field, and where are they headed in the future? Where do you see the PMOs going today?
All right, that is a question and a half, I think. I'm going to try to draw upon I'm going to try to draw upon my experience and some recent travels, including overseas to Europe this past year, and what I've seen around different places, what I've read, and people I've talked to in the discipline. I think that people in general, and I say people, I really mean organizations in general, are attempting to come to grips with the fact that they need to create a PMO. They see it as a solution, but they're not really sure exactly how to do it. So that's going to cause some hesitation in creating it. But as more and more PMOs are created, I think more and more organizations will come on the bandwagon. Now, that said, there are plenty of PMOs out there, a tremendous amount of PMOs. And in fact, many organizations have PMOs and don't even realize that they call it something else. That said, most of those PMOs, in my view, is that they have been developed as a technical support unit. They are there to help to convey and control the technical processes that are used on projects. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, they have not yet been given opportunities for expansion into the business environment. And I think that is going to come next as just as I said, more organizations are going to come on the bandwagon for PMOs. Those with PMOs are going to come on the bandwagon for more business influence of the PMO, for more business-like role of the PMO. And for the really large organizations, they have pretty much created PMOs already at the enterprise level, organization-wide, global-level PMOs. And I think they're going to be fine-tuning then their operations in that regard for the larger organizations.
It's very interesting that you have that particular view, because all the PMOs that I have worked for so far, that was their focus. So to me, this is very normal that the PMO is here to support the business with projects that help the business to succeed. And so to me, to hear that this is not what all PMOs are doing is almost a step backwards.
Well, I don't mean to dispel your perspective on that, because there are many PMOs out there who are doing business on behalf of the organization. They are managing business processes. I'm just saying, from my perspective, there are a great more out there doing technical oversight.
Okay. Once again, the title of the book is The Complete Project Management Office Handbook, 2nd edition. Thank you very much. It has been a pleasure talking to you once again, Gerard.
Well, Cornelius, it's been my pleasure distinctly to be with you again, and I wish you the best in the future.
And that was our interview with Gerard Hill on the PMO as a business solution. As announced during the interview, Gerard is offering 4 copies of his book, The Complete Project Management Office Handbook, 2nd edition, to the listeners of the Project Management Podcast. And for the coming 4 weeks, we will be drawing 1 book every week. To participate, all you have to do is send an email to pmpodcast@gmail.com with the subject PMO and your name, town, and country in the body. I personally guarantee that your email address will not be used for anything but for your participation in this contest. That's it for today. Thank you very much for listening. As always, you can find us on the web at thepmpodcast.com, and if you are a project manager who wants to become a PMP, you can visit pmprepcast.com. In our sister podcast, we teach you concepts, tools, and techniques that you need to know in order to pass the PMP exam. Please send your emails to pmpodcast@gmail.com, and when you write, please tell me where in the world you are writing from. And finally, we have this. If at first you don't succeed, then remove all evidence that the project was ever started. Until next time.